Welcome to another Hafiz Heart special edition panel episode, where we bring in 5 individuals from diverse backgrounds to discuss things that people may not be talking about, but absolutely should be. Today our topic is Black professional women. These lovely ladies here are here to talk about their experiences in the workplace. So let's meet our panel. Bambi, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Bambi McDougald. I'm an intervention prevention coordinator. I specialize in behavior management, in intervention and prevention of drug abuse, dropout, high school dropout, teenage pregnancy, and I enjoy working with at-risk youth and at-risk communities.
Oh, we appreciate that you do that. Hi.
Hi, my name is Christina Murray.
I am a digital content writer and I advocate for drug and alcohol rehabilitation.
That's wonderful. Hello.
Hi, my name is Penelope Barrett. I am an Orlando-based attorney and mediator. I'm also licensed to practice in Illinois, mainly Chicago, and I do a lot of litigation and a lot of mediation.
Wow. You guys are impressive. You?
I'm Krista Price. I have a doctorate in education and I coordinate disability services in higher ed.
Oh, thank you.
Hello, my name is Vanetta Davis Felix. I am a math professor at Seminole State College. I've started my 26th year of teaching this year. I also own and operate a Divine Designs, which is an event planning and catering business. And I also am a professional development coach.
Wow, anything else? Wow, that's incredible. You guys are amazing, amazing women. So can you tell me anything about your experiences being Black professional women in your professions?
Well, in my profession, my current profession, it's fairly comfortable right now because in the social services industry, I find that there are a lot of Black women. However, over my career, that has not always been the case, whether in education or whether in criminal justice and different fields. Engineering and other fields, I was definitely in the minority and it was definitely a little harder.
Okay, what made it harder, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, sometimes everyone is not quite aware of your cultural experience, your cultural background, how to adapt to how you work and the things that you do in your normal day-to-day environment, and having to adapt to the culture that you're currently in, which is America. When you're not in the majority, there are certain things that are expected of you that's not quite communicated to you until it's too late. So one of the big issues might be clothing, having a different body type and having to adjust to that, or maybe even hair, having a different hair type and having to adjust to what is the American norm of what's acceptable. Small things, it seems like, but they can become pretty big.
So your hair is important at these jobs? I mean, I'm sorry, I know I'm naive, whatever. Tell me a little bit more about that. Krista, what does that mean? Because your hair's beautiful. And you all have very different hairstyles, by the way. I love it. We did not plan that.
I think in this climate there is a misconception or preconception, I should say, about hair and the preoccupation with it, if you would.
Okay.
I mean, because really, this is just as natural for me as it is your hair is for you.
Right.
And so I think that hair has become more and more of a talking point, if you would, because it's just different. It's not what we would call, as Caucasian, because it's not straight, it's not pressed out, it's a little more kinky. And so it doesn't, for some, doesn't seem to be as professional, as they would call it.
You're very cognizant of what your hair looks like in the situation that you go into. Is that right? As an attorney, how do you deal with that in court?
I have been told by judges that my style is too aggressive due to my hair.
Your hair is aggressive?
Right, as you notice, it's in a pony. It's in a pony for a reason. I have been told that I could be too ethnic. It depends. It does depend on the county that I am practicing in. I have found that some areas are more fluid and more open. It's one of the reasons why I choose to practice in Orlando I choose to practice in Tampa. I will drive to Miami. There are other counties that I won't drive to, ever.
And how did the judges respond to you?
It really does depend on the area. Most judges are not Black women. I'll just say that. So if they're very old-fashioned, and we do have some very old judges in the state of Florida, they even may require that you wear they know it's inappropriate, but they'll require that you wear a dress or a skirt. So that adds another layer. So, you know, not only am I supposed to be dressed in a skirt or dress, but I also should have straight hair. And that's if I can get past the bar, because several bailiffs and clerks will stop me, assuming that I'm not an attorney.
Really?
Yes.
So, oh my goodness,
Yes.
that must be difficult to deal with.
It is.
But you're incredidible. And when you're in a profession that not only as a Black professional, but as a woman sometimes, right? I mean, so there's a couple of stacks against you. I'd imagine, Vanetta, in the field of math, are there a lot of women, particularly Black women, in your profession?
No, I've been the only from graduation. I graduated from Florida State University, and I was always the only Black female in all my math courses. When I went to grad school, I was the only Black female as well, and I'm the only Black female math professor on my campus. There's 2 of us at the college, total math Black professors and females. And when we were hired, it was a big deal. It was a huge deal. In 2001, we were hired, and it was a huge deal. Oh, the math department hired 2 Black women, and it was a huge deal around campus. Everybody knew us just because of that. But as far as in the classroom, I have not had any issues with my hair. Usually my students are fascinated by my hair. Sometimes it's long or short, it's with braids, without braids.
Does anybody ask you to touch it?
Yeah, they
all the
always just
time.
touch
Yes.
it, you know, and that's
Yes.
usually a rule people don't know out there. Man, you usually don't touch Black women's hair.
I mean, really, you shouldn't touch anybody's hair
Very
that
uncomfortable.
you don't really know intimately, but
But
that's
usually they
a
touch
thing?
it without,
That is a
you know, they
thing.
just, especially my students, they just touch it. Oh, your hair is pretty, oh, it's long, yes, it is short today.
It is beautiful, but I don't think I would be inclined to just
Oh, yes, they
touch.
touch it,
Oh my
you know.
goodness. Oh, wow. So, Christina, how about in your field?
In my field, we don't really have a lot of problems with people making assumptions based on hair and your character. I would say that there's a fair amount of Black and white women working as digital content writers. But in the past, I have had people make really ignorant comments. My parents are Jamaican, so people assume that I'm supposed to have dreadlocks. And for a lot of women with dreadlocks, it's difficult for them to be compatible with the cultural norm in a professional setting because people don't think that's a professional hairstyle.
Okay.
So they've
That's
had
what I was
to.
going to say. If you did wear dreadlocks, people might have a comment about that.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So how about your personalities when you're in the profession? Are you always aware and do you act differently at your job compared to at home or with your friends? Like everyone's yes. So who wants to touch on that? You're all so kind. Krista, do you want to?
Yeah, I'm always cognizant of, you know, who I am and where I am, all the time. I often say I'm Chris at home and I'm Krista at work, you know, because again, it has to, there's an expectation, I guess, when people look at a Black woman, who they are and how they're going to be, what the expectation, even right down to the name, you know, depending on what my name is Krista. Very European, you know, and so, you know, people don't know what they're getting when they're coming through the door, kind of thing. But on the other side is, in terms of my professionalism, I'm always cognizant when I'm having to present, speak, instruct. It's one of those kind of things that I feel like I'm always having to kind of be a step above, you know, if you would. Wow. Because again, there's an expectation that I may not be as smart, I'm not as quick-witted, I'm not as eloquent with my words, and so those are things that I'm always kind of trying to, you know, be aware of and make sure that I present myself well. Yeah.
Wow, Bambi?
Yes. Well, I would say that my mom named me Bambi, and sometimes it's a blessing and a curse. But when it comes to the workplace, it's a little bit of a blessing because people don't know who's going to walk through the
about
door.
That. Bambi, I guess,
So
is very
yes,
typical.
so if you put Bambi on a resume, you're probably going to get a little bit more callbacks, and you get a chance to make a first impression, as opposed to if my name might have been Keisha or Shaquita, and those are things that we are aware of constantly. And if you haven't noticed, my voice is deeper, and I do have an accent, so I am constantly aware of when things become very tense or when there is an escalated situation, that I have to remain very, very calm, because I don't want to be seen as the angry black woman or being aggressive or getting very loud. Even if I'm talking just like this, sometimes even being more eloquent with my words still comes across as me being challenging and combative and not being able to get along well with others.
And that term's come up a couple of times already. Aggressive hair, aggressive attitudes. And this is why we need conversations like this.
Yes, exactly. This is exactly what makes my job in particular very hard, because I'm in court. I am supposed to be advocating as hard as I can for my client, and yet I cannot do that when I have another person on the other side. They can, I've been called names in the middle of arguments. I've been degraded in the middle of argument.
You have to argue. That's your job. Right?
Exactly, it's my job, but at the same time I have to keep my composure and use my case law and use my facts, and basically, my job is to slice them to pieces if I can do that, and that's what I have to do, because I can't be loud. I can't be overly expressive. So a lot of my litigation work has to do with me using my words and my facts and my case law and standing very still while I do that.
You learn quickly to fight with facts and not feelings.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. And I think that is something we could all learn, but the fact that you guys have to be super cognizant of it and super careful is just, it's 2018. I tell myself it's unreal.
And if you're working with another black woman, you have that pressure to make black women look good. People expect you to be a representative of your race. So if you carry yourself in a more emotional manner, or you lose consciousness of where you're at as a professional black woman, you can make other black women look bad. Even though they might be very supportive as a black woman to you, you're still like, other people are looking at me and they're expecting me to slip up and act ethnic or to be a stereotype, and that's not what I'm here to represent.
So do you find that typically within your professions that other black women support one another, or is that?
I think so. I think so. I think for me, my biggest challenge is with my older Caucasian students, and mainly the women. It's like I have to prove that I know what I'm talking about. And that's been the biggest challenge for me. So I kind of dispel that early. I tell them who I am, my educational level, and I have 6 degrees. I've been teaching for 26 years, so you have a great teacher in front of you.
Yes.
And I have to do that at the beginning, because that's been a challenge. And I'll still have some that, they have a problem with a black woman being their instructor. I guess they're old school, as we would say. But as far as with administrators and people that I work with, that's not a problem. It's more so of my students that I have to instruct sometimes.
Wow. Very fascinating.
I have an issue where there's very few black female lawyers in this area. And so we all support each other simply because there may be issues in the courtroom that may prevent us from doing our job if we don't support each other. Like I explained, there's several times where I've been stopped by a clerk or a J or a bailiff from passing the bar so I can check in for my cases or something. And if there's another, black female lawyer in the room that knows me or even doesn't know me, they understand that experience and they will help me to pass that extra hurdle, and it's nice to have that support because we can relate and understand each other. Now, when we talk to each other outside of court, yeah, we can get as wild as we want to, but inside of court, it's, yes, hi, nice to meet you.
There's a term for that.
Code switching.
Switching, yes, that's what it's called.
So it's definitely, we do a lot of code switching back and forth, you know, and a lot of side eye, you know,
Like, we get you.
Yeah.
you know, just
an
we're
underlying-
looking forward, but we're looking at each other like, did you see that? Yes, I did.
Right.
There's an underlying connection automatically because you know some of the experiences that each of you have gone through. I was very, very blessed to be raised by a mother who walked around her whole life saying, you know, I don't see color, you know, and I think that was great and it taught me a lot. But for my children, as I'm raising them in, you know, this day and age, I want to change the verbiage on that. I want to say, you know what, I do see color, but I don't let it affect the way I judge or think or respond to somebody. And that's okay because we should all revel in who we are and be proud of our color or our backgrounds. Thank you guys so much for being here. You are all incredible, amazing women, and I appreciate you sharing your experiences with me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on any of these incredible panel episodes. Take care of yourselves and remember to take care of each other.